Great, so we're going to talk about proper coaching here. And it's an interesting thing that they talk about in this particular section, these particular sections of the paper. So they're all jazzed up about, we're going to do coaching, it's going to be great. They give everybody these titles and they say, go out and coach. People are like, all right, like, okay, I got it, but, you know, what am I supposed to be coaching? Right? Teaching, education, and coaching are skills. And they are skills that, yes, you can learn experientially, but you also have to be taught these skills, just like any other skill set you can develop. And so they develop this process, and they call it EAR. Really? They had to call it EAR? All right. So they say exploring, where you observe, ask, and listen. So you go and you say, what are your problems? You listen, you observe. You do what's called a Gemba walk. I don't say it, but Gemba walk. Okay. A Gemba walk is a form of interpretive dance where you use spiritual enneagrams to, through artistic dancing to represent organizational problems. So like this could mean like a slow supply chain, like emotion like no, I'm just seeing if you guys are awake. No, a Gemba walk is a Japanese term. It basically means the manager walks the floor and figures out what the problem is. Although the other form of Gemba walk, the interpretive dance, might actually be more interesting. I don't know, I haven't tried it. But so we start off with EAR. So then they do analyze. You start figuring out differentiating facts between opinions. You figure out isolated problems or systemic problems, and you look at root causes. And then they have what they call responding, where you teach new skills and knowledges. You provide feedback, and you offer support to gain commitment. Well, I don't know why they had to call this thing EAR, because actually under Lean Six Sigma doctrine, there's something called DMAIC, which is exactly the same thing. Why reinvent the wheel? I don't know. DMAIC is define, which is like explore, measure, and analyze, which would be like their steps of analyzing, and improve and control would be just like their respond phases. It's the same thing, same kind of process, and that's why I mentioned the Gemba walk. But this is DMAIC, and I'll probably do some videos on Lean Six Sigma at some point, but that's what we got for now, okay? So, let's see. And this is interesting, where the coaching came from. You were never coached by your boss. You were coached by your boss's boss, which is interesting. And that was a way for your boss's boss to check up on your boss, because if you're deficient and you need coaching, or even if it's just kind of like the sunshine policy of coaching. Sunshine policy coaching means you just help people to prevent problems from arising. You don't reactively coach, you proactively coach. But you can figure out what that person's boss is doing wrong because you're the N+2, the boss's boss. And so I think that's kind of a neat thing going on. And also, it can also be a slightly less threatening relationship, I think, because that's not your direct supervisor. Let's see. So another thing that they started doing is they implemented a lot of, as part of the coaching, recognition, right? And I like what they wound up doing. Instead of just bonuses, they did a lot of public recognition. And for KFC, they had the Floppy Chicken Award, which was literally a rubber chicken. And you just, it's as an item, it has no value, but it's a way of saying, hey, thanks, we appreciate what you're doing. And at Pizza Hut, they had the Big Cheese Award. And the CEO would sign it, and they have a big ceremony saying, hey, we appreciate what you're doing, Pizza Hut manager. Again, there was a cash reward, but I think it was nominal. It was a $100 gift certificate, right? And most of them didn't spend them because, again, it was something cool, right? Hey, I get recognized. My peers know that I'm the best. Of course, I think it's kind of funny because when I was in the Army, we used to have, my first unit, we had the Magic Missile Award because I was on a missile defense unit. And the Magical Missile Award was actually for people who were it was like the biggest loser of the unit actually got a plaque. So it was like an anti-award or a demerit. Tells you very different things. Like Pizza Hut's trying to get people, with the Big Cheese Award, get them kind of boosted up. And in the Army, we had an award to kind of keep people down. But different organizational cultures, and that's what this article is about. Also, they start talking about awards. In addition to financial success of each location, they also implemented a people measurements process where they were actually checking on how effective you were as a coach, and basically how well did you take care of people. So there was kind of an ethics piece in there too. And at that time, it was an unprecedented move. They started issuing stock certificates to restaurant managers so that they'd have more ownership into the parent company. Right, so tying their interest into yours. Of course, we can talk about agency theory in my corporate governance playlist. But again, they were tying managers and their interest into the company, at least in theory. Let's see. And that pretty much wraps up proper coaching. Our last video, we'll talk about the conclusion. Hope you enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe. See you later.